Hi, I'm odeean and today I'm having a look at Mech Ideas, Apex and Geminus, also known as a modern update on G1 Topspin and G1 Twintwist. These are the first full transforming robot toys from Mech Ideas, and they've turned out more than just a bit good. They're pretty impressive and I've kind of fallen in love with them, and they're really up there with my favourite third-party items at the moment, just because of the character in the toys. Now, I bought these for $70 for two, but I think you can get them individually for $35 to $45, depending on where you get them from. The quality is quite good. I've heard in a lot of other reviews people kind of raving about the density and thickness of the plastic, and I will say the plastic is top-notch. I wouldn't go overboard. In my opinion, this plastic is kind of on par with what we used to get maybe pre-2010 with Generations, and you know, it's that kind of strong quality plastic that you don't feel like you're being ripped off. It's got a little bit of weight to it. It's a huge departure from the current Generations line and the current mainline Beast Hunters in that quality of plastic, and you can see it, but also you can feel it in how when you squeeze the toy, it doesn't deform. Like, I'm squeezing that as hard as my fingers can do it, and these legs are not flexing in any way. So the toy has been built as a toy should be built, not how they currently are built. Here's a bit of a size comparison between Generations Perceptor from a few years back, and given that these guys are in the comic together, it's probably the way most people are going to go. So these guys are often going to be next to each other. You can see that who's this? Geminus is a little bit short compared to Perceptor, but I do have his legs popped the whole way out, so these can actually go in a bit if you don't like that. But from memory, I think that Twintwist and Topspin were a little bit shorter than Perceptor in the comic, so it's probably scaled pretty accurately. They even look like they have a similar styling, so they really go well together. I'm pretty impressed. For the next comparison, here's Apex, or Topspin, next to Toy World's Grind Rod, aka Roll Bar. And although they're similar height, Roll Bar is definitely a much more bulky feeling guy. Although in actual terms, if you put them like this, you can see they're pretty equal when it comes to width. But for some reason, the way Roll Bar pulls his thickness off, it just seems like he's got more mass. It's a kind of an illusion, I think. But these guys could very easily be posed together, and they look pretty good together. Next, I've got Apex next to Car Crash from Fans Project, and this is where it starts to fall down a bit with comparisons. I think this is too small. I'm not really satisfied with Fans Project's Stunticons in my Classics lineup, because I like things to be a little bit bigger than this. I mean, he looks fantastic. I don't want to get too much in depth in this review because it's not really the subject matter, but these guys are kind of a little bit lacking. I kind of like Apex and Geminus more than these Stunticons, but I'll just put him aside for now. The two figures are almost identical, so I'll just show you the posability on one. We've got a ball on the neck with a really good range of motion. So you can see he can even look straight ahead like he's flying or lying down going to snipe somebody. That's an impressive movement there. He can rotate these intakes, although I'm not sure why he'd want to. We've got round at the shoulder. We've got a shoulder forward shrug, outward shoulder, bicep swivel, kind of double jointed elbow, which actually looks a bit weird if you extend it the full way like that. It's not very attractive. I tend to just sort of concertina it up like that, so from most angles it looks filled in. We've got a swivel at the wrist, in and out, backwards and forwards, and swivel at the hip. Knee has 90 degrees, and unfortunately, because of transformation, we get this sideways bend at the knee, which over time is kind of becoming loose, and it's one of the flaws of the toy. On the ankle, we have tilting section that can also go backwards and forwards. Each figure comes with this huge, what is it, a mallet or a sledgehammer, which looks pretty good. It's really a black plastic, I think, with a kind of pearlescent greyish brown painted over the top, and you can see that if you thread it through the hands right, he's flexible enough to hold it double-handed, which is pretty impressive. One thing I will note though is that this one has broken, and I haven't done anything with it. I'm not sure how it happened, but you can see a crack in here. This is the part that disassembles so that you can store it in the transformed mode, and I'm thinking I might just glue this in, because that crack is only going to get worse with time. Each figure also comes with two guns, which look exactly like their G1 guns. In G1 we only ever got one gun per jump starter, but now we have two, which is really cool. And the guns are different on each figure. So you can see here Twintwist has his signature gun, but if you look here you can see this one's based off Topspin's gun. Now I can't testify as to whether this is actually looking like Topspin's G1 gun, because I've lost that so many years ago I can't remember, but definitely I remember this one looks exactly right for Twintwist. And with those guns, I think they're a standard 5mm peg, because although it's a tight fit, it can go into Rollbar's hand here, which is pretty cool. Give a little bit of versatility. You can use one of those spare guns with your other figures if you wish. Looking at the two figures side by side, you can see that they are almost identical in every way. There are some small differences. The shoulder panels are different here. The vents and drills are a different part, which is just snapped on to the top of the toy. We have a little bit different paint apps, different heads, but other than that, the only other different parts are these sections at the back and these little panels at the sides of the legs. It's been speculated that these guys are actually molded in an all blue section and then an all white section, and then the parts shuffled around and assembled in this mix match fashion. And just from looking at it, I'd say that's pretty accurate, because the only parts that are different colors on each figure are opposites. So we've got the white central part with blue limbs, and then the white limbs with the blue central part. It's pretty obvious that that's the way they've gone and used that simplification of the process to save money. Now the only thing which is a bit unclear is how they mold the separate pieces. Does the mold have a gated off section which can go either way with a different frame for those all together? I'm not sure, but either way it's a pretty smart thing from Mech Ideas, and I'm looking forward to see what they can do in the future with that kind of cleverness. Let's get this guy transformed. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to push this section here to pop out that hand and rotate it around, and then it's a little bit hard, but snap it back in like that. Do the same on the other side, rotate it around, snap it in. Next we need some space back here, so I'm just going to open these out like this, and then this little section at the back, just untab it like that. That's going to allow the head to rotate around, and then that can tab back down. Next we want to dislodge this chest piece. You can see it just moved up a bit and it's going to come forward. Then we want to put these feet into the forward position and just swing them out like this kind of. That'll allow some space for this front part to move down here. The legs themselves just kind of swing up like so, and if you push them in, there's a little hole in here that they lock into. Like that. Now you can see I already partially transformed this arm trying to get the leg in. It's kind of, these things have to happen almost simultaneously, so I'm just going to go ahead and lock this little bit in on that side. Moving on to the other side, we want to rotate this up. The little screw hole is going to go on the outside. This just bends around like so. Once it's all in, give it a good squeeze. There's a tab here and a tab in the middle, and that will lock in solidly. Lastly, make sure the tank tread just rotates up and tabs in at the side here. And that's basically it. The next thing we want to do is grab the weapon and unpeg the 3 sections, like so. Turning this upside down, you can see there's some little tab holes in there. This big part will tab into the body, and then these 2 little bits will just kind of tab into the notch here and the hole here. And it's all pretty solid. I mean, you can see it's not going to fall out. The whole thing is very securely tabbed together, and it's pretty nice feeling. If you want now, you can grab the 2 handguns and just peg them in here, and they fit very smoothly into those holes, much easier than when I showed you with grind rod. I mean, obviously the guns are meant for this toy, and the tolerances have been measured pretty exactly to match. Now here you can really see the differences in the 2 figures that don't stand out so much in robot mode. Twintwist with his drills at the front, Topspin with these things, and I'm not sure if in vehicle mode they're meant to be up. They do look a bit wrong to me like that, but on the other hand, this side is painted, whereas the other side is white. But I think I do prefer them down. I like how the black window section is here, even though Transformers don't need a window. I like this, it seems like a window to me. I wish that Twintwist had a little window section here, but it kind of makes sense in a way. He drills through the earth. Why does he need a window? There's nothing to see while you're drilling through the ground. But I think it would have looked better with a little bit of black paint there. I'm too lazy to do it myself, but it would have been nice to come with it. Now I just added some Autobot stickers. So I have this cool sheet of stickers. This did not come with the toy. When I bought my last thing off Chumung, they sent me these stickers, which was really awesome. But there's stickers which fit pretty perfectly in these little divots, which seem to have been left for a symbol to be placed. I think I prefer them without their weapons on. Now they are pretty basic blocks, but then again the jump starters were pretty basic blocks, so they're true to the source material. If you pre-ordered these guys early, you were able to get a free second head for Twintwist here to show, spoiler, in Last Stand of the Wreckers when he's tortured and he ultimately dies. And that's pretty gruesome stuff. He's got drips coming out of his eye, his face is terribly mutilated, and I mean, it's got some good play value. I probably won't pose them like this, but if I had some kind of diorama happening, that would be really, really nice to include in that. I don't know if in the future those are going to be available, so by the time you see this video you might not be able to get it, unfortunately, but I got it and it's pretty cool. So my final thoughts on Apex and Geminus. These guys are my favourite deluxe size third-party Transformers at the moment. I mean, I've got a few. I showed Rollbar, I showed those Stunticons. I'm sure there's a couple of others I can't think of. I've got Aurora, but I haven't opened him yet. I think these guys are the most impressive for me because they stick the closest to what they're supposed to be. So I know some people hope third-party Transformers become their own thing and their own fiction. I'm not in that camp. I buy Transformers to be Transformers, and particularly the characters I like the best are the ones I want to buy the most. And Apex and Geminus are spot on Topspin and Twintwist, and I really, really love them. That's not to say that these guys are totally flawless, because there are some flaws. The crack which I showed in the hammer is one. I'm not too worried about that. I'll just glue it together. The main problem with these guys is that I've been just fiddling around with them and playing with them so much that I can feel their joints getting looser. So they're all pins that just rely on friction, and over time, if I keep having fun with them the same way as I am now, they're going to become floppy, and I'm really considering getting another set just so that I can have something to display that's not going to fall over, because it's a little bit weird. Also, this joint here is kind of annoying. When I try to pose for pictures, I always end up with an unnatural knee, but you know, that's a transformation joint. What can you do? If it had a ratchet in it, it would be a bit better. And you'll see there are some little divots in some of these joints that look like they're ratcheting. That's just fake to give the idea of that. It doesn't really ratchet. None of the joints ratchet on this. But anyway, I can highly recommend them, and at the price they're going for, there's no reason not to get them. In my country, ordinary transformers that of deluxe size frequently sell for about $30, so these guys at $35 each are only a $5 premium. That's pretty fantastic value as far as I'm concerned, so go out and get them. This has been my video review for Apex and Geminus. I'm Odeean, and thanks for watching.